Hi guys, it's Nisi. Started the second phase of my build, which is painting. So the first thing I decided to do after some deliberation was actually paint the windows first after all, considering I do have shaky hands, and the more I thought about it, I believe it's easier to fix the mistakes from there versus the opposite where you paint the bricks and then try to come in and paint the windows. So while I'm painting the windows and doors, I'm seeing that that was probably a very smart idea. I have since learned that I probably should have painted the windows before I glued the building because the angles on some parts of the build are very tight and hard to get my paintbrush into. I am currently using white paint undiluted and a very tiny paintbrush to help myself. Now I have started painting the windows and doors because I have been using my Optivisor. But in doing so, I need to hold it up very close to my face so I can see, and so that you guys can actually get a quick shot of me painting the windows. I took the Optivisor off, and I'm going to try to paint it without that. As you can see from the white, I've already started the doors and the windows, and I've got a good portion of it done. This is really just the first coat, kind of for me to get my hands wet, so to speak, and dirty and figure out exactly what I'm doing. Now there are some doors that I believe I'm going to leave the darker tone versus the white, just because they're solid doors with no windows whatsoever in them. And some of the doors and a few of the windows have bars in them. I don't know if you can see that. I will be painting the bars a metallic color and then white around it, the framing, I guess you would call it. I am using Master's Touch acrylic white. Let's see if the camera can pick that up. Titanium white. That is the color. I am also using a very small brush. If you can see that little tiny nub on there. Like I said, I'm not diluting it. I'm just using it straight from the tube, and we'll see how we go. Now, I'm not too worried about brush strokes and it looking too clean, considering the fact that I'm not worried too much about brush strokes and all that, considering the fact that this is a 40 to 50-year-old building. It's antique in a way, and so you're going to have some wear and tear around. I figure how many times they repaint the white around the frames of the windows. You know, you get like those paint chips where they didn't really sand it down before they repainted it. It's a government building, nobody cares, just slap some more fresh paint on it. And that's what I think the look is going to be overall. Now, I'm going to go ahead and paint a few of these last windows for you to see. I say last windows, I paint a few of these windows for you to see me do it, and then when I come back, it will be the second part of my painting. But right now, I'm working on windows. So here we go. All right. Like I said, these 90-degree angles when you're trying to get into a small space is quite tricky. So I probably should have done this beforehand, but it's not end of the world situation. I will make it work. But when I do my HO building, I will definitely do this before I glue this together. Trying to alleviate some of the brush strokes because I don't want a lot of brush strokes on every window. Make sure I get good coverage. Yeah, I definitely think it'll be easier to cover up the white paint since that's kind of going everywhere. And you got to get inside the framing as well. So there's a lot of space to get in there. Some of these areas I'm not sure if I will leave them white or if I will change that to a more brownish color. But I figure the first coat will help the next coat stick on there, so if there's some white, doesn't matter. This paint seems to be going on pretty smooth. Can't go at it heavy-handed, I've learned that. Okay. Trying to keep my fingers off the doors that I just painted, because that would be kind of messy. Just going around, making sure I'm getting paint on every surface that I want it on. It's not necessarily covering it completely, but as you can see, it's doing the job. And it's giving the next coat of paint something to stick to. So I'm going to finish the last little bit of this so we don't have to sit here and watch window paint dry. And like I said, the next time I come back, it will be watching the brick paint dry. All right, you guys? See you in a little bit. Okay, so here's part 2 of the video. I have done 2 coats of white on the windows, and I am currently masking off the windows so that I can start painting the bricks. So let's switch cameras. As you can see, done painter's tape. It's a painstaking process. Got all the doors done, but I got all those windows to do. So something was brought to my attention that if I leave that paint on too long, I could risk the chance of pulling up the paint that I already have down there. So I'm going to start painting and then removing that tape and then proceeding on, so that I don't have to worry about that paint underneath that tape getting screwed up by the tape. All right, so the colors that I'm going to end up using are burnt sienna and crimson. Both of them are Master's Touch acrylic paints. You can see those pretty well. I have my handy dandy little palette here and a small brush, and I'm gonna start painting. And that is really red. Which I can probably cover up with some chalks. But I don't know if I'm expecting the chalks to do more work than they should be doing. So I am going to play with some color here. Might be the color that I want. Let's see. It's really hard to... I think that's more the color that I want. Yeah, a little bit more red to that. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to mix the burnt sienna and the brown together. I can fix this up here without too much trouble. That'd be nice. I'm glad I taped off these windows because there's no way I would not be getting paint on the windows right about now. Start out with a small amount of paint. I don't run the risk of it drying out on me. I'm just going to cover the whole thing. of going back over it back and forth to make sure that I don't have too much paint in the decorative parts of it. You can still make out the bricks real well. And a good way to remove the excess paint. Whereas now I'm coming over here to a side that I have not masked off. Masking off was not the most enjoyable part of this process, to be honest. Alright, so I'm going to scoop all of this into here. Make sure I don't have too much red. Boy, that red is pesky. Crimson, I guess, is what I should be calling it. Oh, and I just touched what I just painted. That's why I can't have nice things. Okay. Yeah, so burnt sienna and crimson are what I have mixed together here. I think I like. Here in Tampa, we have a bunch of, well, I say a bunch, we probably have 3 cigar factories long before my time. One is still active. And this brick area right here reminds me of those cigar factories. We have, I believe you call it Cuesta Rey cigars is the biggest one. So this kind of reminds me of my childhood a little bit. Yeah, I like this color a lot. All right, so I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep mixing these 2 colors, crimson and burnt sienna, to get that color, which is perfect for this building. So I'm going to finish painting that. No need to watch me paint that whole building. I'm going to paint, remove tape, tape the rest of the windows, paint, remove tape, continue on the process. If I need a second coat, of course, I'll do that just as it's drying before I remove the tape. And then the next part of the process will probably me coming back, adding either a black or a white wash to help so that you can see the detail of the bricks, the separation in the bricks, more realistic that way. And again, based on the cigar factories here in Tampa, the bricks, you really see more brick than you see separation between the bricks. So I don't think it's going to take a whole lot of wash for me to get the effect that I'm going for. Alrighty, see you in a few. Okay, so quick little pop in before I go to the next step. While I was painting, I was talking to my mentor, good old Rick. And he reminded me of something that I know, I mean, I kind of do, and completely forgot, and was really wondering why my paint was so clumpy and thick. And he was like, hey, Nisi, you might want to try some water or some alcohol to kind of water that down a little bit so it's not so thick and clumpy, especially when you go to add the whitewash or the black wash on it for the bricks. It's going to show up really, really clumpy. So guess what? He knows something. How about that? He reminded me of something I should know by now. So let's take a look. All right, so from here on, I painted straight out of the tube, and I have gone over it with a wet brush, just in water. And this section over here that's not taped off, where you can see the windows really clear, I'm doing that freehand best I can with watered down paint. And what a difference. Again, he was telling me, hey, you don't have to cover it all in one go around. You can do multiple coats. You build up your color. So thank goodness for mentors. Thank God for Rick, because that could have really been an ugly situation if I hadn't sent him a picture and said, hey, look what I'm doing. So yeah, this is going on much better, and I'm thinking that I'm not doing so bad with my hands around the windows and stuff. I may have a little bit of touch up, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I think I'm going to forgo the tape, because I don't want to have to repaint the windows because I leave the tape on too long. And taping those windows really stinks on ice. So, yeah. But you can see the difference, and I bet you guys are sitting there anyways going, what is she doing? She's painting straight out of the tube. What is Nisi doing? Nisi, Nisi, Nisi. You're probably yelling at me in the chat. I say yelling, you're not yelling, but you're probably like, what are you doing? So I figured I'd let you guys in that, yeah, my mentor said, hey, don't do that. So anyhow, all right, so hopefully when I come back in the next step, I'm not correcting another mistake as I've been painting. All right, see you later. Hi guys, I'm back. My next installment. I'm still learning what the heck to do with this. Still working on the paint for my building. Recap, I had primed it gray, came in with a mixture of burnt sienna and crimson for the brick and the rest of all the walls actually, to get the base color in. And I did a titanium white for the window frames. Now, last night I went ahead and used just burnt sienna for the decorative parts. It's not brick, I believe it's the concrete decorations. And now I have let it dry 24 hours. I really like the color of burnt sienna alone. So I was having trouble making washes with this stuff. It seems like it wants to clump all the time. So I just messaged Rick and was like, hey buddy, why am I having this problem? What's the secret? So he said, try this. We'll see what happens. So kind of tweaked what his suggestion was. And I actually did 1.5 teaspoons of water and about a pea-size amount of paint, burnt sienna. Mixed it up really, really good, and then came back in, added 1.5 teaspoons of IPA. I have 91%, it's the highest I can get around here. And so far, I don't see clumping. The color looks rich, so we'll see what happens. Move my alcohol out of the way, and we'll go ahead and apply it and see what happens. I'm not going to be too worried about the window frames because I feel pretty confident I can come back in and paint that white anytime, even with shaky hands. So let's take a look at what I got so far. So here we go. So, bring this up to the camera. Is that going to focus? There we go. So these areas, all of this, all of that, and all of that, all the way around the doors, all of that, you get my drift, is the burnt sienna. It's more brown. Now, yes, I noticed these whiter areas where it needs more paint, but remember, this is supposed to be, at least from my thought process, this building is 50 plus years old. It's going to have some fading, some aging, and you know, it's not going to be a perfect color. I'm not going for the perfect scenario. Okay, so here we go. We're going to try this out. I'm just using a crappy brush, and we're just going to start applying it. It's flowing really well, which I'm really happy about. I know I'm kind of messy, but again, I'm not too worried about, I mean, if I was airbrushing, stuff would be getting everywhere, so I'm not going to worry about too much. And I just want this color to be more brown. Now, while it's wet, it's really starting to look like the cigar factories in Ybor City, which is the old section of Tampa. So I'm just going to smoosh this around. And of course, one thing I've learned with painting this model is that what the paint looks like while you're applying it isn't necessarily what the paint's going to look like when it dries. And that's okay. Now, this suggestion of Rick's that I tweaked a little bit really is flowing nicely. I'm excited. This might actually be the answer to my problems. Because when I was trying to mix paint, it just was not, it did not want to do it. coverage. Yeah, paint seems to be easier to control too. How about that? Especially for a wash. I know a lot of the buildings around here have the old downtown buildings, the brick ones, the cigar factories, etc., the brewery. They have a lot of, the bricks have like a white staining around the windows actually from age. And of course, downtown Tampa, we've got Tampa Bay and we've got the Gulf ain't too far away. So between salt water and just water in general and all the rain that we get around here, I think it's just a natural part of the aging. So I'm not going to be too worried about how dark everything is. Wow, this really flows nicely. Okay. I'm just filling that in. Wow, that's really something. And now I don't have all those brush marks that I was getting either. How about that? Need to start a business. 1-800-ASK-A-MENTOR. I think the kit that I'm going to put together for my layout, the HO version of this, I'm thinking I'm probably going to paint it before I glue it together, just because it'll be easier to get in the angles and it's easier to handle and to worry about hands getting up in the paint by accident. Okay. Yeah, this is doing pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. By doing a wash, I'm going to assume, of course, you know what assume does. I'm going to paint these doors. I got a couple of doors that I'm doing more of a wood tone, but I don't know if I like it yet, so let's go over with the wash, and if I don't like it, I'll just paint it the white, but it's trying to have a little bit of difference. I kind of think this complements the red. But it doesn't mute it too much. This is starting to look more like buildings I grew up with. Some of that excess off. Yeah, this is much easier. Holy smokes. I'm so glad I can just put up the bat signal. Or should I say the Rick signal? Rick! Just trying to get full coverage on here. This is going to take time to dry. I still don't have the windows in yet, but I'm not going to do that obviously until I'm done painting because I don't want to get paint on the window treatments. And here's another thing. I don't know if I should be painting the tops of this or not, but I'm gonna. I feel like I'm overkilling on the top, but some of the spots on this kit particularly, where you think it should just be brick, it's like more of the smooth surface. I'm not really sure if that's like I call it a typo in the building, but makes it difficult when you're painting it because you're kind of like, that's odd. Why would that be smooth if everything around it is not? But I mean, only I'm going to notice it. I told you about it, but so that's where we are. You can see my doors got some paint on them. Funny enough, the doors that have paint on them, like right there, are the ones that I actually took the time to put painter's tape on. I have no luck with painter tape. Even if I'm painting my own walls in my own house, using painter's tape has always been a waste of time for me. Paint gets underneath it. I do better without. So that's it. And these are doors, double doors. And that's another set of double doors. And yes, I have the white door and another white door. But for some reason, I want to do something a little different with the coloring here on these two doors. I don't know, I'm not sold on it yet. It's probably going to end up being the white. And then if you notice, like in this window, you can see it. In this window, and in this door, and these windows, and around the corner, there's the bars so that the escapees can't escape. If that makes sense. Escapees escaping. So that's what we got going on. It's still in the rough. Still got a ways to go. Still got color to add. Yeah, I mean, you can tell here that it still needs more color. So I'm slowly getting there. Focus. We're focusing. Hello. Well, guess that's as good as it's gonna get. So that's where we are. It's a slow going process. We're getting there. We're getting there slowly. All right, folks. That's all I got. See you later.
All right. So we are back for part 2.
Woohoo!
Woo! We're gonna do some. So your building is assembled. It's all put
Building,
together.
everything's glued.
Everything's all glued. We're now gonna do some paints. So, let's talk about some of the things that you because I know you started painting already. You and
Yes.
I we talked about paint colors. Why don't you let everybody know what paint colors you chose and the style that you're going to go with?
Okay, so I decided to do the more reddish brown building,
Okay.
and I chose the colors burnt sienna, crimson, and titanium white as my three colors. The white was
Okay.
going to be the window framing, and then the burnt sienna and the crimson were going to mush together to try to get that color of brick that I wanted to get.
Okay. So are the bricks all just one color, or did you do a mix for that?
Well, first I started with the I tried the crimson first on its own, and it
Right.
was too red. So then I mixed the burnt sienna and the crimson together and got the color I thought I wanted, but once it dried, it was still pretty red. So I ended up doing a watered down burnt sienna, and now the whole building is pretty much that color, including the decorative parts around the windows. So
Okay.
gave it more of a brown tinge to it than the red.
Okay. Okay. But as long as you're happy with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
when I
like I said.
first did it, it was too clumpy and it didn't look very good.
Okay.
So you reminded me about watering it down, whether with alcohol or with water.
Oh, right. Yes, I remember that conversation because we've been texting and talking on chat a lot.
Right.
Um, So at this point, you've got the building completely painted in your red brick color,
Yeah.
and you've got your windows and doors all done in white,
Yeah.
and your accent points, like I don't know what they're called. I'm just gonna go with the fennials over
I
the
would
window.
I guess it's the concrete treatments, but I'm just
Yeah, right.
yeah.
That's a good. Yeah. Right. So so those are they one color or
Yeah, those have more of a brown base to them because I
okay?
painted those first with the burnt sienna separately, and then I went back through. I really liked that brown tone, so I went back through
Okay.
and did the whole thing. So they stand out a little bit more.
Right. Okay.
So, and the
So the
windows and doors, I still need to go over again to fix some of my faux pas.
Oh,
And then
that's
I have
they're touch ups.
a couple of doors that for some reason I wanted to do like different from the white doors. I don't know
Oh,
why. So
okay. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm sold on that right now. So right now they're brown and I may just paint them white after all. I don't know.
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I like them. I wasn't aware that you were doing that, but I do like them. It shows. It almost gives you the appearance of maybe like a door was replaced, or one door is older than the other,
Yeah,
or maybe one is made out of a different material. Like on some buildings, you might have some wooden doors, and on some fire exits, you might have aluminum doors that are sometimes painted gray or white or something
yeah.
along those lines. So
Well, I was
I
thinking
kind
maybe like the white doors would be like the service doors that they use
yeah,
for prisoners and whatnot, and then the brown doors would be just like maintenance and that kind of stuff.
I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea. That is awesome. Awesome.
So
So where you're at now, we're trying to do a whitewash kind of to get the mortar color. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
I've been wishy washy back and forth whether or not I wanted to do that, and
Okay.
then because I was kind of going by the cigar factories and stuff here in Ybor City, and um, but I really think it gives it more character by having that whitewash to it. So I really
Okay.
think I'm gonna go with that.
Gotcha.
Mm.
So are you just looking for the the mortar lines, or are you looking for like the building has been there for 70 years, it's been well weathered down, the mortars come out, it's washed over the building, you're looking for that type of
I'm
thing?
thinking we have Tampa Bay, and less than 30 minutes away we have the Gulf of Mexico. So I'm thinking all that water and salt water and hurricanes and whatnot coming in and the heat and the humidity. I just want it to be like overall the building is just aged.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, having both coasts and being surrounded pretty much almost by salt water, I'm not familiar with that because I'm not really near the coast. I'm a couple hours away from it. But do the buildings down there get like, if you were to look at a building like this
Mhm.
and say it was in the Florida area, the whitewash that you're looking at, would that be salt from the water, or would that be the mortar that you're seeing?
That would be
Like,
definitely from the actual weather.
okay,
Yeah, not so much the salt, just the weather, just the water itself. I don't know if it's acid rain. I don't know what it is, but yeah,
gotcha.
just the weather.
Just just a question that popped in the head. So,
Because if you go to the
um,
beach, like if you go to the beach, when you get home, you usually like rinse your car off and stuff because of the salt.
oh, I see. I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that at all. That's a good tip. I'll know that for the next time I go down the shore.
Yeah, but you guys have salted like roads and stuff up there. So I mean
Yeah, yeah, we do in the winter. Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, we don't go through car washes or anything when they put salt down, or at least I don't know anybody who does.
well, yeah, because it's like underneath, so it just eats it from the inside out.
Of course it does. Of course it does. But all right. So why don't you show us what you've done so far,
Okay.
and then kind of take us through how you came up with the whitewash, because it's not just pure paint.
No. Okay, so I'll change the camera.
All right.
Okay. So here we go. And again,
All
I
right.
have to work on the doors and stuff again to fix all the paint that got underneath the tape that I used.
Yep. That's all touch up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
I can.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I dare you.
No, you.
No, you.
This is your show.
Dun, 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 dun.
So
Hey.
I could see on the left side has kind of a white tint to it, depending on
Yeah.
how you hold it in the camera.
Yeah.
That's not just the shine of the paint. There is white over there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So we see it a little better. So if we could get a comparison, do you have a side that's not painted?
Yeah. I'm
It's not
getting
got the
there.
whitewash on it.
Trying to find
We're
it.
getting there. We're
Right
getting there.
there. Right there.
That one. So this is what it looks like with just paint.
There's wash and there's no wash.
That's a good contrast. That's a good contrast to see the before and after. So,
Because I want it to be a building that's like semi maintained after
right.
50 to 70 years.
Well, sure. It is a federal building, courthouse. you know. So I doubt that would make it look any bit dilapidated unless you're looking for that abandoned kind of look.
Mayberry.
Mayberry, yeah, kind of, yeah. Yep.
So
Cover a
the
pile.
whitewash, you and I decided to try. Well, you're using alcohol and water. You tried alcohol water mixture with your paint. I seem to be doing
Right.
really well with my water now because before it was having clump issues. But I have this
Okay.
trusty rusty baby syringe
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and just a few shots of water into my little thingy and stirring it really well seems to be working out for me better.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So
So
how much ratio of paint to water would you say you're using?
I think I did a pea size of paint in here
Okay.
and maybe 1 milliliter of water, if that's the correct. It says ml on it, so one
Yep. Yep. Yep.
ml of
Okay.
water, and then just keep stirring it because I notice that the paint tends to settle.
Yes.
It's kind of fluid. You have to keep messing with the paint to keep it at the consistency you want. I noticed, or else you
Yep.
get too much.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the acrylic paint is nothing more than liquid plastic, so it's going to want to resist the water just a little bit. Not so much like an oil would, but um, it is going to tend to separate.
So I just kind of dip it in the paint and then I try to knock off as much as possible so I don't pick up too much of it. And then I barely touch the wall with it and then let it run into it or run down the wall, I suppose.
See, now you can really see a difference between what you're painting and what's over on the left or what's under your right hand.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the one on the right has a little time
To
that it
dry.
dried.
Yeah.
So I don't want people to get the idea of, oh my God, she's just painting the building white. No, that's gonna fade, and it's gonna
Yeah.
fade very nicely.
It's just going to be an aged looking building.
Yeah,
Because down
because
here, a lot of the buildings don't really have white. Is it grout? Is that the right word to use? Grout between the
mortar, mortar.
mortar. Okay, mortar. Down here, a lot of it is a concrete colored mortar.
So it's more of like a grayish almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I never realized it was mortar when I was a kid. I always thought it was just concrete.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wonder if that's if that's an environmental choice or if that's just a style. Now I'm noticing, and I'm not sure if it's just a camera view,
Yeah.
or if it happened by design, but it looks like over on that part that's on the right hand side,
Yeah.
there's a lot more white at the bottom, and I'm wondering if it just settled that way or if you purposely did it that way. It almost looks like dirt kicked up on the bottom next to the door and the window.
Oh, I got you. I think it just fell like that. Are you talking here or over there?
Over
Here?
there.
Over there.
Nope. Over there.
Over here.
Yeah.
Here, there. Over there.
Up there. Right there. Oh, where your right hand is. That panel where your right hand is.
So here.
With the door and the single window.
Okay.
So it looks like just the way that we're looking at it from this view, it
Yeah,
looks like there's more white at the bottom.
it was dripping and I tried to wick it away a little bit with the paper towel and then I ended up with that.
That honestly, to tell you the truth, I think that looks awesome.
Yeah, I kind of like even like right in this area, you can't really see it, but like right in here, it looks, yeah, it gives it some character anyways.
And the fact that it's random and not just like all one thing, you could definitely tell like that building has been there for a long, long time.
A little neglected.
Well, not so much neglected. Weathered is the right word, but I'm wondering. There's another word I'm thinking of, and I can't think of it. I want to say matured, but that's
Yeah,
not
I
right
was gonna say
either.
it's a matured building.
Yeah.
Goes over here. The hardest part is making sure you don't get too much on your brush.
Yes. Because you're only
That
looking for a dab. Having a paper towel nearby that you can wipe that off, you're almost looking for not so much a dry brush at this point, because you definitely want it to be wet so the paint runs. That looks so awesome. Can't wait to get mine out of the box and actually start working on it.
one area that I was having trouble with retaining paint was that section right there between the doors. I don't know why, but I was having a hard time getting that to take color. And then right here in
Really?
this section was another spot that I was having trouble with retaining color.
So when you say retaining color, was it just fading back out?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so weird.
and in both areas were glue free. I mean, everything had been washed, and everything
Right.
was 100% gray primer.
Hmm.
So I don't know what the deal was with that. But I felt like I was going over it and over it and over it and getting nowhere.
Do you remember having any issues? Did the primer look different when it was on that section?
No, everything was uniform.
Everything was uniform. It's so weird.
Ooh.
Well, as I said, you're doing a great job. You're getting it exactly where it needs to go, and it's just looking fabulous. So I'm gonna let you have at it.
Okay.
Um, and I'll let you finish up, and because you certainly don't need me sitting here just complimenting you all day.
Yeah, I do.
Um, so why don't you finish that, and then we'll pick up when you're done that paint part, and
Okay.
then I guess from there we just talk about the accessories and
Yeah, that'll be the
how we'll
next
go through
step.
those. Yep, I can't imagine what you're gonna have to do in N scale for that. That's gonna be insane. I know the HO stuff is small, so
Yeah.
God, get
Alrighty.
your bifocals out.
Seriously.
So, all right,
Alrighty.
partner.
Until
Let's pick
next
up
time.
yeah, until next time. Let's yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay.